Welcome to my boss ranking of all the bosses in Dark Souls 1. Luckily there aren't that many in comparison to Dark Souls 2. I'm coming from this as a melee character that can't parry, and I usually use the Giant Father build, or as I like to call it, the Big Daddy build. I think that Pinwheel is considered the easiest boss on every boss ranking ever created, even rankings that aren't even Dark Souls. The only thing that really elevates this fight is the fact that Pinwheel can float. Pinwheel does have a potentially disturbing backstory though, and through this image we can see what Pinwheel might be under that cloak. I don't think there's anything to really add to this other than this fight is pointless, like me trying to make a gaming channel in 2018. Assuming you don't try and fight the Asylum Demon the first time you enter the arena with the garbage weapon you have. Sorry Zero Lenny, I know the IGN strategy guide calls it the best weapon, but if you instead leave and get the real weapon, it's gonna be easy. Just dodge every now and then, and back up when it decides to show off its greatest asset, and you'll be fine. This is especially easy since the boss seems to be a fatty that loves to sit its lazy ass down rather than fight. Or maybe it just has problems getting up. Either way the fight would be called cake, but then it would probably eat that as well. What? Gaping Dragon is third easiest? What the fuck? Well, it may hit hard, but it's slow, and you just need to bait out a couple of its attacks and sit there and punish. The part leading up to it is harder than the fight itself, in my correct opinion. It's hard to actually die in this fight once you realize how backing up is probably the most OP thing you can do in the game. Let's all at least take a moment to sit here and remember this disgusting tooth vagina monster, and be thankful it doesn't make a comeback in any of the next games. The Taurus Demon is an annoying fight. It always clips me, dealing some damage, but not enough to make me freak out and heal. The real challenge of this fight is fighting off the boredom of how long it will take with an unreinforced weapon and no levels. Like, seriously, I might as well be stabbing him with a splinter. The only real saving grace that keeps this fight so low on the list is the fact that you can get some gold pine resin, so at least you can make that an electric splinter. Okay, if this list was on the bullshit ranking, this would rank at least the second, only behind the Bed of Chaos. Yes, it was stupid to put a small pack of dogs in such a small area, but the saving grace is the miracle of the staircase. That kinda rhymed. Whatever. Using that will allow you to funnel the dogs and the boss at you one at a time, giving you an opportunity to make the fight more fair. The Capra Demon itself is nothing without his groupies, and that's why he falls so low on this list. This boss can smack you around if you try and fight it too early like I did, but if you're leveled right and have enough Estus and half decent weapon, you can just take all the damage this guy wants to discharge onto you and chug-a-lug that soup. On top of that, I never got the cheese method to work. Only the method for the lactose intolerant seems to work for me. Now excuse me while I go discharge to Quelaag. There are only two real threats in this fight. The golem grabbing you and throwing you to your death, and the giant that throws bombs at you from atop the tower. Once the jihadist is dead, the only thing stopping you is the iron golem. Luckily, he suffers from the wrath of gravity just like you do, so show him how strong the laws of physics are. Priscilla is best waifu for sure, but as a boss, she is shit. Sure, she can become invisible, which is a very cool mechanic, but it's not something that suddenly makes her very difficult. And even after you smacked her around a couple times, she just becomes visible again. She doesn't hit disgustingly hard, she's slow, and the only other danger is that she has this bleed buildup. I guess this is the feminist boss though, making everyone want to leave the area, and if you don't, they will fucking make you bleed. I know this might be a very disliked position for the best dragon in Dark Souls 1. Tough competition though. But Kalameet isn't that hard once it's on the ground. Its attacks are very straightforward, and it gives you plenty of time to dodge. Sure, it can hit hard, but dodging is almost always the answer in this game. I don't have any proof of this, but I think that a lot of the people who play with a shield will struggle here, if they don't manage to adapt to the better strategy of dodging. Invincibility frames are your friend and your best tool in Dark Souls 1, so please use them. I forget if I died once or twice to this boss. Either way, this was the first time I truly struggled in this fight. I don't know if it was because of my weapon, me not summoning, or me just being shit. Please don't answer that. I think a few more levels in health would have really helped me. Anyway, there are only like 3 or 4 attacks this boss has, and most of them are easily dodgeable, except for the second needle shot, which hits me almost every time, and I guess I'm just a filthy casual. This boss is very annoying in that it likes to stay out of reach of all melee attacks for a very long time. The little bugger. Every now and then, it'll decide to take a quick little nap, and this is your only real time to make it feel the thunder. Just practice that dodging, and keep smacking it until one of you dies. And at this point, I don't know which one I would rather have die. Who's a good doggo? Well, clearly by the way I put this mutt down, not Sif. I'll be that one character that kills John Wick's dog, except instead of dying like a little bitch, this time I go back in time and put down the master first. Sif isn't that hard of a fight. Dodge into him when he swings one direction, dodge backwards when he swings the other. If you're using a shield, only block when he swings right to left, and run like the coward you are when he swings left to right. As a huge dog lover, though it might not seem that way, this fight made me come to terms with how much of a psychopath I really am. Everyone talks about how this fight destroys their soul, but I don't even feel a damn thing. Maybe games really have destroyed my moral compass, which is why it's so much fun to push mercenaries out of windows. That's a Mass Effect 2 thing, just to be... yeah. The Centipede Demon is really an annoying fight. All you do is you tank it and you spank it. The worst thing is how much aspirin you need to take to get through this fight due to all the shitty lava everywhere. It just gives you a headache. I really do pity myself. I only learned about DS Fix about a year ago, and then I thought to myself, oh, I'm never playing this again. Why bother? But since DS Remastered Trash came out, I've played this game like 3 or 4 times. Pity me. This is a copy of the Stray Demon. It may do some switched up damage or whatever, but the real difficult thing about this fight is the realization of just how lazy FromSoft was with this area. Sure, maybe it was time constraints, but come on, this is miserable. It should have been pushed back so that they could have time to fix the game. A game that comes out late can be fixed, but one that's released too early will always be shit. But it's all okay in the end because we get the best Dark Souls game after this one, right? And then we get a remaster of this shit. Thanks, FromSoft. The first time you fight Seath is probably one of the more frustrating experiences of the game. I remember running around the room like a chicken with its head cut off, trying to survive. But in the end you're supposed to die. Well, there goes my perfect playthrough, assholes. Your second meeting with Seath will go much better, so long as you remember to break the little crystal. And the only thing that makes this entire journey, I guess, more annoying is having to traverse the Indiana Jones 3 invisible bridges. That's how meh this fight is. Getting to it is more interesting than the fight itself. This boss is annoying. She has various different attacks that she can use to mess with you. Her sword swings can hit you even if you're at her sides. Her lava will stay there until hell freezes over, which, fun fact, is where this fight happens. But the worst attack is her invisible Wrath of the Gods. This attack will pretty much kill you if you are within nuke range of her, so as soon as she starts it, run to the hills. Run for your lives. The only other complaint I really have about this fight is that her hair is just stuck in some certain position. I mean, couldn't they move it just a little bit? I mean, the game's already rated M, why not make that rating worthwhile, right? If you successfully use my Archer tactic, this fight isn't that bad. The only reason it's up this high on the list is that about a week before I started writing the script, I replayed Dark Souls 1 with a melee only build. And when doing that, this fight sucks. The only real saving grace is that it saves your progress each time it decides to sexually harass you with its long, woody hands, shoving you into its holes. No means no, assface. I mean, when are we gonna get the trial of the Bed of Chaos? I mean, we already got Cosby. What's next? Come on, get on it. I'm actually quite surprised at how high this boss is on my list. In my opinion, we're still in the kind of average difficulty range though. With a leveled up Zweihander, you can pretty easily ruin the first gargoyle's day, but you won't get the kill before the second one drops in and decides to ruin this great party by trying to initiate a threesome. At this point, you have to run around them, like tiptoeing around the subject of asking your girl for a threesome, and only spanking one of them when you know the other one can't see you. I put this boss pretty high on my list, mainly because of how early I like to come here in the game, so that I can get the ring that lets you run through water fast. I like going here so early because of Blighttown. Screw it. I don't want to get to Quelaag when I'm half dead and poisoned. Screw that. Anyway, this fight is shit. It's a copy-paste image of the Asylum Demon, but with the magic attacks of the Demon Fire Sage. Hooray! But because of how early I come here, my attacks do next to nothing in terms of damage, and it decimates my health. So it just becomes a game of running around and dodging its poorly animated attacks, while stabbing it with a wet fucking noodle. This fight was an interesting idea in how to piss people off. I used to be unable to get a hit in on him when using a heavy weapon because my swings were just so slow, and by the time they landed, he was a block away. If only I could share a bike with CJ and do a drive-by on this motherfucker. Other than that, his attacks are simple. He has 3 ranged attacks, and the only way they're really dangerous is if he forces you to dodge into one of those little floaty little orb thingies. This fight is just a huge test of patience. At least when you fail, you aren't told that all you had to do was follow the train. Fuck you, Big Smoke. In my books, this is the last truly average boss, in terms of difficulty at least. The tactic is simple. Deal a shit ton of damage. If you can't kill one before the next one spawns, you're fucked. This seems like another lazy move by FromSoft, and I kind of have to copy and paste what Democracy said, that this would have been so much better if you had 4 different kings, and they would only spawn once the previous one died. I would kind of also say that you don't even have to have unique different kings. It could be just the same king with slightly different attacks. But again, it has to be only when the other one dies. Then bring in the new king. Nito's a boss I'm constantly dreading the idea of fighting, even though I almost never die to it. There are just so many little annoying factors, like all the skeletons in the area, and Nito's annoying sword plunge. The skeletons can be permanently destroyed by killing them with a divine weapon, and Nito's sword plunge can be dealt with by not being a filthy casual like me and learning how to dodge. After this, it simply becomes another tank and spank. I guess you could say that the tactics to this fight are really Nito. Please don't downvote, and please don't unsubscribe. This is a tough fight. Juggling both of these enemies while cowering behind all these pillars, just waiting for the chance to get one hit in before running away again. It's one of the hardest fights in the game, but the fact that you need to be constantly running and hiding just doesn't make it fun. It's a stressful game of tag, except instead of becoming it, you become Jelly after Smo is done pounding that ass of yours into the floor. I'm guessing he's just trying to tenderize my ass before he eats it. No, not like that. When Ornstein goes down, Super Smo is pretty easy, so you should be fine. Oh, you weren't for Super Ornstein? Good luck! This boss is annoying because of how often it runs away. I mean, it reminds me of the children I have locked in my basement. Luckily, she always comes back for more of a beating. But first, let's get back to the boss. I hope your character was a star athlete in the Asylum's track team, because you're going to be chasing this fucker down like how I run from the fact that these videos are pointless. It's also kind of bullshit that this boss deals poison damage. Bosses that do status afflictions gain the added difficulty of bullshit. Every person who can parry just disliked this video and left me a mean comment. Joke's on them though, I still got a view out of it, whatever that's worth these days. I can't parry for shit, and I've tried. I have practiced for about an hour, and I think I got one. Then I promptly contemplated suicide. I didn't commit it though. If you don't have parries in your bag of tricks, this boss quickly just becomes the biggest annoying piece of shit ever. You can't even tank and spank this boss. You just need to stay a little bit out of his range until he does something you can capitalize on. In my video of this fight, you see me just running around with shield up for like 20 minutes, waiting for enough opportunities to kill this fucker. But if you can parry this boss, it just becomes a joke. Come on, it's too hard without parries but too easy with? Balance your fucking games. Artorias is the second hardest boss in the game from my point of view. I don't think that opinion will really start any fights. Artorias is fast, and he can chain attacks together like he was a slave driver. He also has a shit ton of health, and it's such a pain in the ass to fight him. But at least we get to put John Wick down, and then we get to go kill his puppy. Last and definitely least is Manus, the Abyss bitch. This guy's the biggest piece of shit in this game, and yes, I am salty. I forget how many times I died in this fight, but it was miserable. Manus is fast, he hits hard, he has range and melee attacks. There is no safety for Manus, whether you're at a bonfire or a frickin' safe room in Left 4 Dead. This fucker will find you and he will ruin your day. Thank you all for watching, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe, or whatever it is you do on YouTube. See ya.